I had the pleasure of meeting this guest in person early 2024 at a business retreat. We were part of this mastermind for an entire year, so I really got to know her and her business, and we went on multiple trips together, and I'm really excited for you to hear this very powerful interview with her. She's a run coach, but she also teaches running coaches how to build an insanely big business. She has proven results empowering people to get to their goals, and honestly, I've just loved watching her unfold into this really bold, fierce, dominating force. You're gonna love this interview. Without further ado, enjoy the show. Karina! Wow, I don't know why I just rolled my R like that. I've never done that with your name ever in my life, but welcome to the show.
Thank you. You did that well.
Thank you. Let me try again. Karina!
That was a lot better.
Do you want to try?
No.
Okay. Okay. Welcome to Chit Chat. I am so excited for you to be here. I literally saw this on my calendar this week and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. This is going to be really fun. How are you feeling, first of all?
I'm good. Yeah.
Good.
I am feeling great. It's a good day, so no complaints.
Great. Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself in a minute, but before we dive into that, I just want to let the viewers know that most of the people that I interview on Chit Chat with Chan, I have never met before, but I know Karina. We were in a business mastermind all of 2024 together, which was so freaking fun. We would go on retreats together. We would have like monthly Zoom calls where we would get coached in the same room. And so we developed like this really cool friendship because, as you all know, going through business, it's like you are challenged in so many different ways. So when you can have people alongside of you doing that, you get to know them on a totally different level. So we've not just been through like business up and downs together. We have been through life things together. And we were literally texting earlier about like she lives in Boston. So I would love to fly and go visit Boston. I've never been there. I would love to have you here in Raleigh. All the things. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of talking, so I'm going to be quiet and I'm going to let you kind of tell us who you are, your story a little bit, and anything that you think we need to start off with.
Yeah, thanks for pumping my tires. I hope that you come visit
Pumping my
Boston
tires.
really soon. But yes, I am Karina. And like Chandler said, we met through a business mastermind last year. I started my business actually right when COVID hit back in 2020 and became a run coach, which then turned into run coach, personal trainer, nutritionist, and now a little bit of business coaching for specifically run coaches. So a lot going on, but I honestly love it, to be honest. I feel like it's all working out as it should right now. So
Yeah, you're a badass. One thing I know for sure about Karina is like she is one of the top people that I know that will take action. Like you get one piece of coaching advice and you go do it. And it's like the coolest thing to watch. I'm really inspired by people like that. So I feel lucky to have you in my world. But I want to know actually, can we back up to like when you became a runner? Because I'm just going to be honest with you. Like running to me is torture. So can you take us through why you decided to start moving your body in the way that you should be running?
yeah, running is not for everyone. I do know that. But yeah, when I was a kid, I grew up playing soccer and I was a dancer, very like contemporary. And so a lot of structure in both sports, I would say. And I never ran. I would just do it as part of those activities if they required them. Like back in the day, you would do like trials for soccer tryouts and stuff like that. And so that was my extent of running. And then when I got into college, I started to dabble with running a little bit more because then you have a gym and you kind of want to go and work out. And I didn't want to lift weights because I had no idea what to do and all the men are there. And so I would just hop on the elliptical or the treadmill, and then it just became the treadmill, and then it became running outside around campus and just like very light, fun things. But running turned into this fun activity for me while I was juggling academics, which I know you just said, but I am very much like, okay, go take action, go do. So running was kind of this nice little effortless, to be honest, like release for me. And then I did my first race and like the rest is history, honestly.
What was your first race, like a half marathon or like a 5K or what?
It was actually a 10-mile race. It was my first official race, and I actually didn't do it until after I graduated from college. So I was pretty late to the game there, but I did it in Philadelphia, and it was actually a downpour during the race. So talk
Oh,
about
wow.
like having to build mental resilience as
Yeah.
you're running. But it was really, really fun and really cool. And I feel like doing something hard right out of the gate was like, okay, I want to do more of this.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so I ran a half marathon once, which was really dumb because I didn't train for it. I just did it with my cousin and I was like, this will be cool, like something that I said I did, but I did it in Philly, which is crazy.
Oh, no way. The
Yeah.
Philly half marathon or
I have no idea. It was
you
a
don't
long
know?
time ago. I don't remember. And honestly, like I wasn't into it, so I was just like, I'll just go do this. I'm an athlete. Like I can go run. I literally thought I broke my foot. Truly. Like that's no joke. Like I don't even know if you can easily walk a half marathon, let alone try to run it.
Yeah, you must have been sore for days.
What is that? 13 miles?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really stupid of
Yeah.
me.
A lot
Um,
of people try to like get away with running a half marathon without training, so you're not alone in that bucket, but it's very humbling when you
oh
do
my
that.
God.
And then you see
That's,
the after effects. So,
yeah. Like I said, that was years ago, and that was probably the last time I ran, for sure.
yeah.
Um, so in your first race, did you do well? And you thought to yourself, like, tell us then what took you to the point of like, I think I want to coach people on how to become better at this sport.
I did well. And looking back, I pushed myself way more than I should have in my training. So I'm like actually shocked that I did as well as I did. But I, again, was also in my like mid 20s when our bodies are just way more resilient than they are these days.
Mhm.
But it wasn't really the thing that like lit the spark for coaching for me. I honestly didn't want to even be a run coach. I wanted to work at a like specialty running studio. We have a lot of those in Boston, and I was going to one in like 2017, 2018, 2019. And it was so fun because they were just running classes on a tread with like loud music and dark lights and like all this like vibey
Yeah,
stuff,
that's
which was
cool.
super fun. And so when I knew I was good at running and was racing here and there, but was just running again for the fun of it, that's what sparked the interest to work at the running studio. And I was honestly in the process of doing that. And then COVID happened and the studios had to shut down. So then I pivoted to saying, like, I still want to teach runners in some capacity. I'm not sure if I want to be a run coach, but let me just get certified and go through the educational process and then see. And that's why I say like the rest is kind of history because
Mhm.
I didn't plan for this
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah. Okay, I know the next part of your story, but I think it's really cool for you to tell people. So you were working in the corporate space. Your goal was to climb the corporate ladder, and you had like this moment. Well, I'm not going to tell the story for you. You tell the story of what happened next.
Okay, I was like, you could tell it. You can
Yeah,
tell a
I
story
love this. I
well.
love this story so much. I think it's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, like you said, I was working 9 to 5 and I had been for a long time, and all I knew was like climb the corporate ladder. And I do think of myself as a very driven and motivated person, so I was kind of like dead set on doing that just because that's what you do. And then I was in my work cafeteria one day with one of my friends who I always grab lunch with, and I just started talking about the running studio that I was going to and how much I loved that. And I told her, like, maybe I want to teach there or be like a run coach in some capacity. I have no idea, but that could be really fun to do on the side because I don't really feel like I'm filling up my cup at work. I'm
Mhm.
doing well, but it doesn't light me up. And that was kind of like the first spark of saying it out loud. And she validated me so quickly that I was like, okay, I'm not crazy for thinking this. Let me just go through the steps and the motions and see what happens. And that was like the moment, I would say, where I realized, like, okay, we have, as humans, we have other options. We don't need to be so dead set in one particular line of work for the rest of our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. So then you decided you were like looking on Instagram and you saw someone was like offering a coaching program, right?
Yes,
Like
yeah, yeah.
teach you how to build a business online.
Yeah, so fast forward, like the running studio thing didn't work out because COVID was happening, and I was like, I don't know when studios are going to open back up, and I don't want to let someone determine what I want to do. So I'm going to go and get certified, and I got my education in run coaching. And then I was like, okay, I have this. Do I need like a lawyer? Do I need an accountant? Like, how do I start my business? I literally have no idea. I went to business school and was just like, that's all out the window, drawing a blank. I don't know anything. And so I just like put that on pause, coached a friend, and lightly started talking about run coaching. And then when I was in like a Instagram scroll hole, basically, I stumbled upon a business coach who was in the fitness space and was doing what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. This is possible. I just needed to be seeing it, and I
Yeah.
hadn't seen it before.
Yeah. And how much money did you spend on that?
I spent $1,500.
And did that seem like a lot at the time?
So much money. I remember texting one of my friends, and I mean, granted, I have a 9 to 5, like I have the steady, safe salary, but I didn't have any money in my business. So to be talking about spending $1,500 and not even knowing a thing about starting a business or if I would make the money back, I remember texting my friend just asking for her advice, and it's not like she was a business owner or anything. I was like, I just don't know if this is a smart decision, and I need someone to talk me through it.
Hmm.
And she, again, different friend, validated me and was like, what's the worst that happened? And like,
Yeah.
what's the worst that will happen? And when she laid it out that way, it was helpful for me because I could just sit on my dream forever, or I could actually take a risk and see what would happen. And the coach was basically guaranteeing that if you followed the program, you would make your money back quite quickly. So that
Yeah.
helped too.
Yeah. That conviction, it feels really good, especially coming from someone who's done what you want to do. I feel like it's easier to trust the path that they're providing. But also, just to wrap up that story, because I have a lot of other questions I want to ask you. Then you became so successful, you followed your path, you stuck to the plan, that you walked away from your 9 to 5 completely.
Hmm.
And that's what, when I first met you, that was one of our first conversations. Was I asked you, how did you do that? Like, what the heck? Like, and I remember you saying, it's so funny because like, I know you know how this feels. Like, I wanted the strategy. Like, what were the exact steps? Like, how much money were you making when you left? Like, blah, 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 blah. Like, asking all these questions. And you were like, I did get a financial advisor. Like, I was smart about it. I had these conversations. I set money aside. But it was one of those things where it was like, I just did it. And I was like, cool. That's really cool. like, like, what do you mean?
Yeah, you just did it. Well, now knowing you, I was probably hesitant to like be like, well, this is what I did, and then share like the 15 steps that I took to actually
Oh,
get
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these days, I mean, I would lay it all out. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought for me, the biggest piece was hiring someone to help me because when you're jumping from leaving your 9 to 5 to going full time in your business, it doesn't matter the amount of money that is in your business bank account. No amount of money can make you feel like that is a safe decision because ultimately it isn't. It's always
Yeah.
going to be a risk. And having a financial advisor help me and plan basically for at least, I think, 8 to 10 months before I actually made the jump. Like we were in the weeds that entire time. Having someone like that helped me so much to actually have the confidence to be
Yeah.
like, when I do this, I know I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, and I think that part of your story adds so much to when you coach your people. So you mentioned you're adding like a branch into your business where you're coaching running coaches on how to strengthen their business or grow a business from the ground up. And I will just say, like, I you're a huge part of my success as well. Like, you saw something in me that I saw it, but it didn't surface until you called it out. Like, you called me out and you said, this is what you're really good at. And so I do think you have a knack for seeing things in people and believing in them and then like challenging them to rise to the occasion. So with this new branch in your business, tell us like more about it, how you feel about it, what the plans are, all the things, because it's very niched, which I think is really cool, but I want to know the details.
Yeah. Well, first off, I'll credit you because I it's an idea that turned into a reality, but I was very resistant actually to how like niche we were making it, because I didn't think it would be a success. But basically what it's turned into is it's called Run Coach Accelerator, and it's for specifically run coaches that are looking to grow their business or obviously start their business. There's so many run coaches in this world, not even country, because I have someone out in the Netherlands in my course. So
Whoa.
yeah, and it's so cool because there's so many run coaches across all different areas of Earth, which is
Yeah.
really awesome. But what it does is it brings them together in a group coaching environment. And basically, what we do there is it's a course of 12 weeks where I teach them how to grow and scale their business into something that is a model that's ready to make like 5K plus months on repeat. And the reason that I loved it so much is because obviously it's my own story too, and
Yep.
I feel very passionate about how niche it is because it's for runners. Like
Yeah.
that is what my space talks about.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you're coming from a place of like you ran your run coach business for years. You
mhm.
got really good at that. You have one-on-ones, you have self-paced courses, you have plans that you help people apply to their running goals, etc. You have a ton of different approaches where you help runners, but now you're taking it a step further and you're helping run coaches do everything you did and more. What's like the vibe of the group right now? Because I know you're still like this is the first time you launched it. Let me back up. I want to know how successful was your launch?
More successful than I could have ever imagined it to be. I told Chandler, I was like, I would be thrilled if two people joined, and we have almost 10 people in the first round, which
Crazy.
is so crazy. And like I was telling you earlier, when we were talking about this idea and you were helping me bring it to life, you were really specific with me about it needs to be just for run coaches. And I trust you obviously a lot. And so I was trusting in the process, but also hesitant because I just didn't know if it was going to be too niche. And I feel like that's where a lot of my hesitancy came from is like, are people even going to be interested in this? Am I going to be excluding people? And I feel like obviously it blew past my expectations, which I feel like obviously opened up a lot more doors of, okay, like what else can we do here with this too?
Yeah. I think that's so relatable is like being afraid of the ultra specificity of things. I mean, I a lot of my clients feel like that, like they're afraid to go too specific because they think they'll be discluding people. Is that a word? Discluding. Like they'll
Yeah.
be counting people out. Yeah. And it's like the opposite, which we were talking about this yesterday. Like we learned this where if you are very hyper specific, people, even if it's not their story, it's not their specific situation, it's not their specific title, they will insert themselves in easier versus if we were more vague.
Hmm.
And I think that's a huge call out, especially I'm sure you coach your people on that. It's like you inside your program, you're not just coaching like the business strategy and everything like that. You coach on content, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It is fun too because I mean, it's easier to teach it than to tell yourself it, but with all of them, I'm like, we can get more specific. We can get even more specific. And it's cool because I'm sure others can relate to this sentiment, not just with run coaching, but with Run Coach Accelerator, there's, like I said, 9 of them that are all run coaches. And at the start of the program, they were really worried about how they were going to differentiate themselves. And
Yeah.
it's so cool because with the specificity, we were just talking about it either this week or last week in Run Coach Accelerator, but I was like, you guys all have something so different. Like, how cool is that? That you guys are all in the same space, but you all have something so completely different to offer. And that just goes back to what you're saying about the specificity. Like, when you actually do that, you draw in more people.
Yeah. Are they finding things that differentiate themselves or like what is your coaching philosophy behind that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been pretty cool because my first ever business coach told me this, and I feel like others along the way told me this too. But the clients that you attract or our like ideal client avatar, the people that you want to bring in are typically a former version of yourself and your own story. And so I challenge them to first think about like what their story actually is and was in their running journey, like where they were before, what was their kind of turning point moment, and where they are now. And through that, they all could get super specific on who it is that they want to coach, whether it's, single mom runners like trying to make it work, whether it's moms who have kids with special needs who can barely put themselves on the table every day. It's just tending to everyone else, or 9 to 5ers, or like the list goes on and on and on.
Sure.
And so it's been really cool because they all have their own stories and they've been able to tie it to who it is that they want to market to and ultimately attract, because that's just a former version of who they were.
Yeah, I love that. I want to shift gears a little bit because I know that you are going through some life things right now. You're going through some personal challenges, some roller coaster rides for sure. What is your take on you're also training for a high rocks, which I never knew what that was before I was your friend, but that's like a really big deal. And so I know that's also, it takes up a lot of mental capacity and discipline and time. So how are you doing all of that, running your business, pivoting and adding a whole new branch of your business, like doing the most over there and staying sane? Like what is your mindset right now and how are you navigating that?
Therapy? No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Weekly therapy? No, bi-weekly therapy. Outside of that, yeah, I mean, I am going I'm going through a lot personally, and I actually want to share that in
Yeah.
regards to my answer because I think it's important
Hmm.
for people to hear, but also just based on what my answer is. I am navigating a breakup from a couple months ago, and I had to move out of our shared space and live alone, and again, like make ends meet, like figure out what's happening with my business. What do we need to shift and move around? What do those numbers look like? Which is a lot of pressure. And then, like you said, training for a high rocks and just navigating like my own healing journey while still trying to expand my business. I feel like some of the things that keep me sane are making sure that I can pour into my own cup on a daily basis. Especially as a business owner, it is really hard to put yourself first. I know you get that super well. It's like you want to help others before you even help yourself. That's just a natural inclination, I feel. And it's been hard, but I will make sure every single day that I am doing something for myself, whether it's going on a run for my high rocks training, or lifting, or going to therapy, or FaceTiming a friend, or going on a walk. It's just little things. It's not big things, but it's just taking care of myself, or else, I mean, I'm going to crumble with all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I love that. What's your, outside of everything you just listed, when you think to yourself, like, I need to feel good right now, what's your go to outside of going for a run or whatever? Like, what do you're like, if I know if I do this thing, I'm going to feel, because I think the reason I'm asking that is because myself included, like, it's so easy to get into a funk where you're like feeling a little bit low. I think entrepreneurship itself can feel very lonely a lot of the time. You just moved into an apartment by yourself after living with someone for years. And then it's like you have to have those things that pull you out of like, I feel depressed.
Yeah.
And so what is your thing that you're like, I know I'm going to feel good if I do this?
I would say it's two things, one serious thing and one like light thing, but it honestly helps me so much. One thing that I learned in therapy, and I've been in it for years, but one thing that I learned is like I am the type of person who, if I start feeling some type of way, like you said, you start feeling depressed or lonely or something, I kind of like push it down and find a distraction to make sure that I don't face that. And my therapist has challenged me obviously to feel those feels and sit in those emotions, but also for me, I feel like when I feel that way now, I literally whip out my journal no matter what time of day it
That's
is,
so
and I
cool.
will journal. And I don't have like a prompt or anything. I am just forcing the feeling of what I'm feeling and
Mhm.
actually working through it. And every single time without fail, I feel better. And ultimately, it's almost like facing your fears or your demons or whatever's kind of living inside you. It's facing them directly, and that's cathartic. And I
Yeah.
never used to feel that way. So that's my go-to. And then outside of that, I'm obsessed with reality TV. So I'll sit down and watch hours of reality TV
Yeah.
after I journal. I do the journal first.
Yeah. We were just talking about this yesterday. The most recent Love is Blind. Like I find it so weak, and she's over here like I'm loving the conversation, like the depth to it, and I'm like, dude, give me all like the trash, the drama. Like I want to be looking at these people like, oh, you just like ruined your life on
Yeah.
national television.
I normally do like that, but I really am like enjoying their conversations. I don't know.
It's
I'm
just, I
definitely,
think it's the stage of life that you're in right now, like what you're dealing with. You're like, that's what I need, you know?
yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah, give me something else.
it's not stimulating enough, you know?
Yeah, I totally get
Yeah,
it.
that's really funny. And I really appreciate something about you that I really appreciate is you, I don't think, like, you do a really good job of not shoving down your feelings. And you also do a really good job, which I don't love the word duality. I would use the word coexistence, which we've had multiple conversations about this, but you do a really good job of saying like, yeah, I feel pretty sad right now. Like my heart hurts and I wish I wasn't going through this pain, but also I'm really excited about living in a new apartment and the potential that I hold and the embracing the future and like what's around the corner and the unknown. Like you do a really good job of that, which I'm sure has been taught in therapy also just by going through life. I mean,
Yeah, for
you,
sure.
you develop that. What is like, now that you're single, what's like your type?
Mm, I'm not sure, actually. In therapy, just a mere 4 hours ago, we were uh, talking not even about my type, but actually what I'm like just generally looking for going forward. And for me, it's funny that you just said what you said right before you asked me about my type. For me, what I'm looking for, and I never ever thought I would give this answer, is someone who is emotionally aware and in touch with their emotions and can
Mhm.
have deep conversations. And that was never me at all. Like, I did not grow up that way at all. And now I feel like I'm so different because of everything I've gone through in the last like 5, 6 years. And then having gone through a breakup, but also having like been in so much therapy, I just feel like I am so in touch with my emotions. And I love talking about feelings and having deep conversations, that is like what I'm looking for amongst
100%.
everything else. So
Yeah. I think that's a really like mature response, you
yeah,
know?
so
I
that's
was
how I
like, I was
feel.
like, what's your ideal client? And I imagine you being like, 6 foot, dark
I
hair.
know. This is why I like the season of Love is Blind.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
But
That's
yes,
really
outside of
funny.
that, maybe someone who's brunette. That's typically who I
Yeah.
look for. And
Okay.
tall, even though I'm like 5'2", but I just
Yeah, you're
love
tiny. Yeah.
that.
Save the tall guys for the tall girls, would you?
That's what my friends always say too, but I'm like, listen, it's not, that doesn't mean that we get stuck with like a 5'4".
The
I
short
like,
kings need love.
not by me. Certainly not by
Oh
me.
man. So are you on any dating apps?
No, no,
No. How are
no.
you like what's your like I mean you go out and run, so it's like you get out, but like what do you envision is like going to be I mean obviously we can't like let's just have fun here. We can't
Yeah.
imagine where we're going to meet someone, but like are you going to reach for the same avocado in the grocery store and like magically touch hands or like what's this going to be like?
I do live very nearby a Whole Foods, and the Whole Foods in this neighborhood is great for just looking at
I'm
people.
sure.
But no, I mean, probably, I hope just something like fun that I'm doing, whether it's like a run club or like a
Mm,
fitness class or something, just something where it's like, it's a common bond.
yeah.
And we don't have to like both be obsessed with it, but
Yeah.
just meeting in a place ideally where it's like, okay, I already know you enjoy this and I enjoy this. Like that would be
Yeah.
kind of nice.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I'll stop hammering you on love, but
Yeah, I
I
was
want to
not
ask
expecting
you.
that.
Yeah, me either, but this is fun. I want to ask you, like, in terms of your job and what you do in your business, you've been doing this for several years. What is the hardest part for you as being a business owner? What do you consider as like the most challenging thing for you?
That's a good question. Um, I feel like it's two answers because I can't pick one, but they're different enough. I feel like on a day-to-day basis, prioritizing is really hard for me, and I'm sure you can relate because we want to do the best, we want to be the best, we want to get it all done, and honestly, sometimes it's no matter how hard you try, that's just not going to happen in that given day sometimes, and you have to be able to quickly prioritize what needs to be done versus what can wait. And I feel like that is really, really hard for someone that wants to just find a way to get it all done. But I really value not being burnt out. And that was like what I was when I first started my business. And so I'm just very hyper aware and sensitive to that. But it's still a daily battle. And then I think on the flip side, honestly, still, just like believing in myself that I can do this. Like, I know you get that, but I mean, you could be having the most successful day in your business and be on such a high, and the next day it could be as if it never happened, and you're doubting, like, is this meant for me? Is this gonna be sustainable? Is this happening? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I had a boss once when I was in medical device sales, and he was one of my favorite people. But I remember him telling me to never ride the wave, because in sales, it's the same thing as being a business owner. Like, you have days where everybody says yes, and then you have days where everybody's punching you in the face and like serving you shit sandwiches. Like, you don't, you don't know what you're getting into. So his advice was to never ride the wave and to like not. And then this portion comes from what's it called? Like the 4 secrets or the 4 something, I forget what it is. But to never take anything personal, including the wins. So it's like we always take rejection and we always take failure so personal. Like, we make it so much about us. And then sometimes we also might not make the wins about us. We say this is tied to a strategy, or this is because I showed up in this way. Like, it's like a little less personal. But what if you didn't take any of it personal, and you were like, that win happened because it happened at the right time when it needed to happen. That failure happened at the right time. And so it's like not riding the wave, not taking anything personal is really hard. It's like much easier said than done. But I do think it's really important to remember that, like, but I don't know, because sometimes I'm challenged by this because I'm a person that gets really excited about things, and I like that part of me. Yeah. And so it's like, I want to get really excited and celebrate the wins, but I know sometimes that's not super healthy. So
yeah, it's like, it's not a black and white answer though. Like, you're definitely allowed to feel that way, but I do understand what he is saying, especially in regards to working in sales or being a business owner. Like, you do need to ride the wave, but you also need to take a moment to hype yourself up a little bit, you know?
Right. Yeah, for sure. It's good stuff. So I close with one question, but before I ask the one question, I want to ask you, is there something that you want the audience to know about you that maybe isn't publicly portrayed? Or is there something that you wish people knew about you before they got into your world that you don't know, that what is the one thing that people say, like, I never knew this about you? Like, what is that one thing you wish more people knew?
That's a really good question, because I'm actually posting a reel after we get off this. That's like, I would never, ever, ever imagine myself posting this. And I was like, that's good. That shows growth. Yes. But I basically am going to post a reel about how you said I'm training for an upcoming High Rocks race, which is like the hardest thing I've ever done. And I've run marathons, I've done it all, but this is like hard. And I had a moment in the last week where I almost wanted to quit. I wanted to quit my training, and we talked about it in therapy today and where that comes from. And I feel like people think I've been told this, that I have my shit together, that I'm very by the book. I get shit done, which I appreciate, but in the same breath, I would also say I put such immense pressure on myself to perform that honestly, I am in an ever evolving process of showing the hard moments of my life, because I think that makes you human, and I want everyone to know that about me, because I don't have my shit together all the time. I have coping mechanisms, but I really don't have my shit together all the time.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's really like that's a very strong, vulnerable message. I would say like on paper, you do have your shit together though, like so much. Like, you know, like you make good money, you do a good job saving, you have your own place, like you are a business owner, you even have coaches that are under you, like you're running an entire world. But also what I do, you're a fellow OCDer, which is
Yes.
amazing.
Yes.
And I think it's like those things because I feel the same way. Like people think that I have it all. Like you have it all. Like you have everything going for you. And it's like, bro, you have no idea what my brain is like.
Yeah.
Like
Oh my God. Yeah.
I'm going crazy up there. Like you have no idea.
Going to bed is hard.
Yeah,
It's
literally.
an actual like mental wind down
Yeah.
routine.
Well,
Like,
and that's like I think that's a misunderstanding about OCD is like as a person with OCD, we are masking our fucked upness with having our shit together.
yes, that's why I said what I said.
Yes.
Yes.
Like that is a complete mask. It's
Yeah.
not, we want you to think that because we want to think that.
Right. Yeah, we're telling ourselves that. Like
Yeah.
that's all we know. And
Yeah.
so we're gonna make you think that just
Yeah.
because of how we are, like how
Yeah.
we are being. So yeah, I feel like yeah, having OCD, as you know, I feel like the pressure to have your shit together is a lot, but we put that pressure on ourselves. So
Right.
we're the only ones to blame, but still.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
for
would
sure.
you say for yourself for that question?
Um, hmm. I don't think that you're allowed to ask me any questions, but
I was like, wow, I want to hear her answer. Let me ask her.
I oftentimes, well, one thing, which is like not, there's no depth to this, but one thing is like every single time I meet someone in person after they've followed me on social media, they can't believe how tall I am.
That's interesting.
Like they don't see it in my content, which I look at my content, I'm like, I guess that makes sense. Like, I don't know though. I'm like, I only see myself as tall.
Yeah.
So every time I meet someone, they're like, whoa. And I'm like, dude, that doesn't feel good. Like, you don't need to like act like I'm a giant, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
pull back on that.
yeah, like keep it together.
Yeah.
So I think maybe like that's one thing that I'm like, I, my whole life, I hated being tall. Like I would literally ask my mom, like, is there surgery that exists where I can like cut down my shins or something? Like, yeah, that's really sad as a little girl, but now I love it. Now I really do love it. And so I wish like that was something that maybe I could even speak to more in my content. But on the flip side, like to add more depth, I do think even when people meet me in person, I'm intense. Like I'm very I speak intensely, I speak pointed at times. I don't realize I'm doing it. I am starting to embrace that side of me a little bit more. But I wish people knew like I'm one of the nicest people that I know, truly. Like I am a kind person to my core. It doesn't I don't even I feel guilty for even saying the word hate. Like I can't there's not a lot of people I dislike. Like I am a very kind person and I don't think that that comes out a lot. So I wish people knew how much I cared and how much I love and how
Yeah.
strong my compassion is.
Yeah, that's such a good answer, and I agree with you. But I don't think that's like a bad thing for you to
Yeah.
come off strong and bold. And I know we were talking about this yesterday, but you just like embracing more of that. And I feel like it's cool because for me, that's like I want to be in circles where that's going on. But I'm also not shocked after I get to know you that there's so much more depth there and that you're a person so in touch with your emotions and your feelings and you care so much. Like you can have both. You don't
Yeah.
have to be one or the other.
Amen to that. Thank you for that.
Of course.
Okay, final question, which is going to be an interesting one because I am your content coach. But what is the best content advice that you've received and taken action with?
I only have to name one.
Yeah, one, if you had to sum it up. It
um I
doesn't have to be something from me, by the way. Like whatever you think is like the most profound.
Well, it would be from you because it is your area of expertise.
Yes.
And that would just be straight up rude also. I'm like, it was from this other content coach.
I'd be like, wow.
Like,
Okay.
notes, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would say, and I tell this to my girls inside I Run Coach Accelerator, but like one thing that I've learned from you and the reason I hired you is because I wanted to stand out in what I would consider a crowded space in the run coaching world, but you can say that for any profession or industry. It's not exclusive to running. That's just how I felt with where I was in business. And I feel like the thoughts I had about how to stand out could not have been more wrong. Like I thought it was giving like hot takes or whatever, or like unconventional beliefs. And like, yeah, that stuff from time to time is good. But I feel like one thing that I've learned from you is to stand out, you literally should be yourself in like all facets of that word. And I've been trying to teach the girls in Run Coach Accelerator the same because I've seen it pay off tenfold where you build connection quickly, you build community. And I also realized it's not about like gaining more followers. It's just about like nurturing the people who are there right in front of you. And the way you do that is through connecting through your content.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have like a favorite piece of content that comes to mind that you've posted recently?
Let me think. I mean, it's funny because it's not even related to running at all,
Yeah.
but I told you when I was going through my breakup that I wanted to share that because again, it is connection and I don't need to share every detail of my breakup, but like I'm moving and people are going to be like, what the hell is happening right now? People notice that stuff and I did want to share it too. And we created a piece of content where I just kind of shared that I was going through a breakup, like moving in on my own, like starting over. And it was just me putting up my camera of me moving into this apartment, something that took like 5 seconds. And obviously it did really well, but I also got so many DMs and text messages that day and the next day, like dozens and dozens and dozens of texts and DMs of people sharing their story as well of starting over. And I didn't even ask for that. And like strangers who were following me for I don't know how long. So it was just really nice.
Yeah, that's badass. That's so cool. And I'm proud of you for that.
Thanks.
All right.
For helping.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's so much coming for you. So if you are watching this show, definitely go follow Karina. Where can we find you? What is your username? And do you have like somewhere where we can go that we can plug into your world?
Yeah, so you can probably find everything you would need right now on my Instagram. It's at rips, RIPPS _ on the run. And that's where you can find a link where you can train with us. I'm going to be posting a link there soon for the next round of Run Coach Accelerator. So if you are a run coach that wants to get your business up and running, we are going to be doing that again very soon. Yeah, that's where you get all the good stuff, email list, everything. So
Perfect. And I will link everything in the show notes below. So go follow her. She is, I truly have never seen someone like just go like, I don't want to say 0 to 100 because you were already at 100, but like 100 to 1,000. Like you run through brick walls, you do all the things. You are a really incredible human. So thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. This was fun.
yeah.
And yeah, I will talk to you soon, I guess.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
Bye.